All right. Welcome to episode 39 of the Jake Blanchard podcast, brought to you in part by our friends at Fellowship Brand Premium Men's Grooming Products. Go to their website, fellowshipbrand.com. Check out the products that they have for the hair on your face and get yourself some free shipping on your first order when you use the code JBP at checkout. My guest today is Elliot Marshall. He's a martial artist. He's a business owner, podcaster, and author. He was the first American to win the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Pan Am Championships at blue, purple, and brown belt. After transition, he transitioned to the MMA. He became a fighter on The Ultimate Fighter, was on season 8, earned a UFC contract and fought for a couple of more years. Upon retirement, he became the co-owner of Easton Training Center, one of Colorado's leading martial arts schools, 7 locations all across the Denver area. He's a man with kind of deep and interesting perspective on combating fear, failure, anxiety. He speaks about it openly on his podcast, The Gospel of Fire. So go follow that right now as I'm doing my intro here. And he's out here helping people realize their own power and potential. I'm glad he decided to spend some time with me. Elliot, welcome to the podcast, brother.
What's up, man? Thanks. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, for sure. Hey, let's dive into this. A great intro here at the beginning.
Yeah,
you got all kinds of stuff going on.
You hit it all.
Hey, where's this path begin, man? Did you always want to go touch gloves and get in the ring, or what was that like? Your journey, just martial arts being the kind of the catalyst of the things that you do.
So, I mean, the journey started for me when I was 6 years old, and I grew up in New Jersey. And the Karate Kid came out. I saw the Karate Kid. I did the crane kick, kicked the lamp. My parents put me in karate. Little did I know at the time that karate was going to be this like savior for me. You know, martial arts was going to be this savior, just because of some interesting circumstances. My dad's Black and grew up during civil rights, and my mom is the child of Holocaust survivors. So in concentration camps, not just like, you know, they were around during the Holocaust. So that wasn't so kosher in 1980, right? A Black guy and a Jewish lady. I mean, it wasn't like it was legal, right? But it wasn't, like, there weren't a lot of them.
Yeah.
You know?
It's definitely,
there weren't a lot of them. So that means there weren't a lot of me, like this weirder type family, you know, in the town that I grew up in, this little town in New Jersey, you know, everyone knew who the high school quarterback was going to be because his dad was, his granddad was, and his big brother was. Like it was that kind of town, right? Like, and we just moved there. It wasn't like that's where we were. Like we had established roots in that town. We moved there because my parents wanted the property. We built a house. My house got spray painted with swastikas and Nigers. They spelled the word wrong, you know. Nigers, go home, and all kinds of stuff like this. So you can imagine where that went for my whole time there, just about.
Sure.
But martial arts was my savior. Martial arts was this place where I could just get good and then fit in. It wasn't in that town. It was in a couple towns over, you know, because the delineator for most martial arts schools is, are you walking in the door? Like that's the acceptance. You don't need any more. So that was my life. That was my life as a child. It wasn't great. It was pretty shitty. Combine that with spending a lot of time with my grandparents, who, how could they not be really scared all the time, right? Because their existence was, everything was taken from them. It was going to happen again, and yada, 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 right? I mean, like Sugar in the Basement from 1979, and we're talking it's 1995. And you're like, why is this Sugar still here? What are you doing?
So you're
right? Like
you're kind of always looking over your shoulder here then.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then the same thing from my dad, right? Like my dad, whenever I would leave the house, he was like, yo, watch your back. Like, so this was my message that I was. And look, I had a great childhood as far as like my parents. I had great parents. I had great grandparents. Like, I'm not saying that by any means that I needed for anything, but there was, and how could they not? Because that was their experience, right? Like on both ends, my dad growing up during civil rights. So there I was, a kid doing martial arts that also ended up having a lot of anxiety, you know, that, you know, a lot of anxiety, where again, like the martial arts had always hid it for me for a very long time. But my whole life as a child, from 6 until the time I left, was wrapped around martial arts, was wrapped around doing karate. In 1997, yeah, right around then, we had this big like national tournament for the style of karate that we were doing, that I did. And it was, you know how now there's masters divisions, right?
Okay.
Well, there's a masters division then too. And but you sparred your friends, because it was point sparring. You didn't like beat each other up, you know? It wasn't like that. So one of my friends dodged the division that we could have done together. And I was like, man, you're just a scared old man going to go do that masters. And he was like, yeah, you think I'm scared? I'm like, hell yeah, you're scared. You could have just done this, and you did masters. You did the old man division. He's like, all right, come to my house next Friday. So I go to his house next Friday. I've never heard of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I have no clue what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is. And he's almost a blue belt, and he fucked me up. And I'm like, yo, I got to learn this. You know, I got to learn this.
Man, I've got mats in my garage, and every now and then when
Yeah.
people are curious, I'm like, come on over to my house, man. Let's roll around a little bit. And I don't, you know, it's not really fucking them up, but they, you know, people get a realization of what the ground game is when they get to roll around with somebody with a little bit of experience. So
I mean, and I was talking shit. Like I was calling him scared, right? So he fucked me up, right? He's actually a black belt now, so it's really cool. So we went on the journey, and that was it. I moved to college after that. I learned a little bit here and there. I couldn't really learn a lot, because you got to remember, that's 1997, 98, and there's not a lot of jiu-jitsu in America still. I live in this little podunk town in South Jersey. The closest school was exercise, where Phil and Ricky Migliorisi, where their teacher was. And yeah, so that was, you know, an hour, 45 minutes away from my house, and 17-year-old, that's a tough, you know, there's no mass transit in South Jersey, anything like that. So I picked up moves. I moved to Colorado. I meet Amal Easton, who's always my teacher, now my business partner, in a mall. I trained for a little bit, but, you know, I'm kind of I'm a kid a little bit. I run out of money. You know, like I'm 18. I got a real serious girlfriend for the first time. So I was getting laid all the fucking time, which had never happened before in my life. You know, but I didn't fit in high school, right? I was like, yo, there's this. And so I stopped. Basically ran out of money, and I wanted to party and get laid. But then I was like, no, you know what? I really got to get this again, because martial arts has been such a staple in my life. And I heard he opened a school, and I went, and, you know, a year later, I heard he opened a school, and I go, and I'm like, hey man, is there any way that like I can clean really, really well? And it worked out for me, man. His cleaner, he said, just quit. And there I was. I got a cleaning job.
Isn't that funny how that happens sometimes? I was like, oh yeah, my cleaner just quit. For sure, man.
And he didn't want to clean, right? And he didn't want to clean, so it worked out. And now look, so this idea that you can go from cleaner to owner, it's a true story. It's possible, because I did it. You know, I was cleaning the toilets, and I still, you know, we still clean. Like, I mean, the ownership piece, you just never, I haven't mopped this many mats in the last year than I have ever, right? Because of COVID and stuff.
That's awesome.
But like, yeah, you know.
So you get into get into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competition through this avenue, obviously. And then how does that lead into an appetite to merge the two worlds of martial arts that you were exposed to, the striking game from the karate life, and then the ground game from jiu-jitsu?
So look, no one's had a luckier life than me. I firmly believe this. Even down to the sense that when I met Amal, he was trying to still get really good. He was just a purple belt. He wasn't. But you got to think, this is 1999 now in America. Purple belt's God, almost, right? Because there's only like 5 black belts in the whole country. So I got private lessons all the time, right? I mean, for free, just because he needed to train. So I really got to develop my skills. I got to train all the time. I got really great instruction. He had moved to Brazil, and that's where his teachers were, you know, other than Renzo, because Renzo is in New York now. So we had a really direct access. So to say like, and I had nothing to do with that. I just walked into a mall and there was a person named Amal in a mall, right? So, um, so I had direct access to the source,
I
right?
was a
Like
little late on getting that joke.
it's
I
all
walked into a
good.
and a mall was in a mall. I got it now.
Yeah. You know, so I had direct access to the source, man. Like Gracie Baja, Carlos Gracie Jr., Sanaka, Helio Sanaka Gordo coming out teaching us, right? Like these world champions that, I mean, I think the world championships were 3 years old at this point.
Yeah.
So no, like, but we had them because of, so when I say luck, that was just luck. I go through my jiu-jitsu journey and I always said that I wanted to fight, right? Like, so in high school, I can remember like losing a little weight, becoming a little more popular, like getting some friends like that last year of high school, my senior year of high school. And I always said that like I was going to fight in the UFC. And then this became like a thing for me where people were like, oh, that's cool, man. You know, like, so I just kept saying it because it like, it had nothing to do with why I got more friends, but it seemed to me, it's how I put the two together.
Yeah.
Right. You know how you do that sometimes. I put the losing weight together with that, with having some friends. So obviously, this is one of the things that I do kind of as a human. I still have some insecurities about being fat because when I combine the fat, I go back to this Elliot that was alone and afraid and scared and in his house having no friends. So I definitely, it's something that I have to work on consistently is like, you know, because you retire and then you get fat a little bit and you get old. So, you know, I have some insecurities around this that I still have to work on to this day. But anyway, to answer your question, I said I was going to fight and I told everyone I was going to fight. And, you know, I was winning all these jiu-jitsu tournaments. I was one of the best Americans around. And then one day I was in the shower, you know, this is probably like 2006 now, somewhere in there, 2005, after training. And you got to remember, like there was no fight to wins.
Yeah.
Right. There's no third coasts. There was no nothing. You didn't make money. You paid to travel and compete for these fucking shiny medals. Right. Like,
yeah.
I was working in a bar, married at this point, no kids yet. And my wife just looks at me and she goes, hey, so, I mean, this is all great and cool, this jiu-jitsu thing, but you going to fight? Because if you're not going to fight, I think you need to get a job. And I was like, a job? Fuck that. So called the
just immediate response. Fuck that.
In my head. Yeah. In my head, I was like, fuck that. I'm not getting a goddamn job. So I called the promoter the next day and there it was, you know, fight locally for a while. Look, when I say lucky, Dwayne Ludwig lived down the street, right? A couple towns over. So we call Dwayne. Dwayne comes and teaches us private lessons, me and Tyler Toner, another former UFC fighter.
That's not a bad neighbor.
Yeah. I mean, he's not my neighbor, right? Like,
yeah, I know what you're saying.
But you know what? Yeah, you know. So like that, and then and then that relationship just worked out because he needed grappling help, you know. And then, yeah, man.
How'd you get on the Ultimate Fighter then? Like, was it you won some fights locally and then you like?
I won some fights locally. Yep, I won some fights locally. It just so happened that a producer for Spike TV trained at our school, helped me I got to skip the whole like beginner part where they just watch you roll, you know. I got to go right to the interview part. You know?
Oh, nice.
So I didn't have shit to do with that. I mean, I guess I did, you know, but it wasn't like, so when I say lucky, again, this is just the luck of my life, where it's been so far. Yeah.
So then, you know, this is kind of I guess maybe it's more the meaty part of the conversation here, which is how you, you know, went on this road to, well, I mean, you touched on it at the beginning of this podcast. You talked about some of the anxiety and the looking over your shoulder, that kind of mentality that you had. And then obviously there's this kind of confidence that comes through martial arts and the successes that come along with that. And now you're kind of moving into the highest level of professional fighting in the UFC. So you Ultimate Fighter, gained a contract afterwards. You're in the octagon. And then, you know, you've talked pretty openly on your podcast as well as your TEDx talk on how these two worlds collide from the standpoint of the fear, the frustration, anxiety. Maybe talk a little bit about that experience here, if you don't mind.
The devil comes to hang out with all of us at some point in our lives, you know, and I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. And I do try to connect some, you know, the gospel fire, right? Because I believe the fire, stepping into the fire is the gospel. This is what we have to do in our life. We have to walk to the arena. Yeah, the devil comes to hang out, and you can really try to beat this devil down. So all through my 20s, right, and in my early 30s, he would come and he would say hello at certain times. And then I was able to mask him, beat him away. And maybe another fight came up, right? I signed another fight. And then you have something real to be scared about, right? Yeah. A fight, another grown man. So you have real anxiety. You don't have to have the anxieties of your shortcomings as an individual. Wanting to be liked, wanting people to accept you, wanting this acceptance and love from an outside source when you're not quite sure how to accept and love yourself yet for exactly who you are. And along with professional fighting, that gets built up, right? People start to love you. People start to accept you. You start signing autographs. You become famous, right? You get stopped in, you get on the streets and people want to take pictures with you. So now you're getting all of these needs that you think that, you know, you have a need for love, acceptance, and safety. And that's my need, mostly safety for me, right? Because the love and acceptance part will guarantee me safety. You know, because for my whole life, my grandparents' point of view was to never have friends. You can't have friends because your friends will turn you into the Nazis. Because that's what happened to them, right? Like their neighbor who wasn't a Jew, their neighbors are like, that's the Jew over there. Get him.
Wow.
Right? And they were the ones coming in their house a couple months ago, you know, and socializing. So like this was how I grew up. Don't let anybody see you. Because Hitler's coming again, and you'll be in a camp, and the odds of surviving the camps are low.
That's a lot, man. And how old are you? Like
right.
Starting at what age? Like
this as soon as I remember. Dude. You know,
God, that's rough to fight through, man.
Yeah, but I didn't even notice it, right? I didn't notice what that mentality was doing to me. And then all of a sudden you get a little older and you're like, why am I acting like this? But you're not paying attention at all, right? You're just acting a certain way because you have a need that's not being met, right? You're feeling a certain way. So that affects our behaviors, you know? And I know as men, we don't like to talk about that word that we just said, feelings, right? We don't, we don't like that word because then we have to start talking about them. How do I feel? And you're like, man, it doesn't matter how I feel. It greatly matters how we feel. Now look, only for me, from my perspective, in the sense that you need to know how you feel. It doesn't have to affect your behaviors, but it's guaranteed going to affect your behaviors and the outcomes and the things that happen to your life. If you're not sitting down and going, you know what? I am sad. I'm happy. I'm frustrated. I'm angry. I'm motivated. You know, it doesn't have to then affect your behavior because you can have this other word really called discipline.
Yeah.
Right. And when you have discipline, it's cool. I'm unmotivated today. It's okay. It's Monday. I go to the gym. Right. Like, yeah, I go to the gym on Mondays. So it's two things can exist. And we're currently living in this world, in my opinion, where we're not allowing the duality of two things. We don't want the duality of two things. Right. We can have a gun problem and a mental health problem, right? Yeah. They can both exist. And I just use something very basic there. You know?
For sure. Yeah. But I think you're drawing a really interesting point where it's, you know, you have to be allowed to feel that feeling and then sit alongside yourself and just acknowledge it. I mean, that acknowledgement is such a powerful catalyst to your next point, which was discipline, right?
Yeah.
I don't feel motivated. I acknowledge that feeling. Dude, it sucks. What are we going to do? We're either going to sit here and hate ourselves more and just compound a bad day, or we're going to go try to do something about it. And that inner dialogue is overlooked so often.
So often. And man, so I'll get to a really interesting point how you just said that right there. So anyway, I end my fight career, right? My fight career ends. You're not the champion. So this big, right? And this is what I said I was going to be my whole life. So then again, the luck of my life, a little bit of luck here. The day, so I fought on a Saturday. The Tuesday after, I had a real estate thing set up, a viewing set up for the building where the Denver school is located now. I went and looked at the building to purchase literally 4 days after what ended up being my last fight, you know?
Wow.
So I was again here, and this is the luck piece of it. For most fighters, what am I going to do next? Your career ends, right? Especially when it's a professional career. You know, if you didn't have a professional career, fighting every once in a while professionally is not a career. When the way you make money, the only way you make money is fighting, is what I'm saying, is a professional career. When that ends, there's this downtime normally, and you don't know what to do next. So then you take another fight. And then how do you get out of this rat race, right? How do you get out of this race of like, you're never going to be the champion. You're not making real money, but you got to go do this to get paid. And then once you start doing things to get paid, you break your core values, right? You're starting to do things for money. Once we do things for money, we've got a big problem, you know?
Yeah.
But we have to do things for money at the same time. So here comes that duality again, right? We have to make money. Sorry, got a bug in my face. So look, I was super lucky. Business right there, done. Buy the building, you know, go into the process of buying the building, buy the building, move my then teacher, Amal, buy into the business, move the school, the Denver school, which is, you know, we used to call it the favela because it was a fucking shithole in Denver. We moved into this beautiful 10,000 square foot building. And then, man, we just start charge. Let's go. Let's make these businesses work. And then we do it, man. The businesses work. You know, we do the same thing with the Boulder school, you know, buy that building too. I mean, again, the luck of my life. I buy that building. I go under contract that building to purchase it. And then a week later, Google buying the whole block. Google.
Yeah.
So I didn't have anything to fucking do with that, but you know, now I'm still sitting on that building. I'm just waiting for Google to come knock on my door and say, I want the building, right? Like,
yeah. Well, that's good timing, man. Because
they
will.
Oh, just luck though, man. It's just luck. Yeah, of course they're gonna come get it. But like, you know how you do contingencies? Like you're like, when you buy something, like, oh, you go back to the seller and say, hey, you got to fix all this. So the seller was like, no, man, I ain't fixing shit. Let's get out of track because now I'm in an offer that's way too low, but we have a signed contract. Right. And I'm like, nah, man, I'll eat all of it. You know? So
pass up anything for an opportunity. That's the biggest thing, right?
So, I mean, so the luck of my life.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and then we're killing, we're crushing. And I go but I've never dealt with this devil. I've never dealt with this demon that's down inside of me. Right. I've never like sat with him and been like, yo, dude, how you doing? I've never faced him. Take a vacation to Hawaii. He's like I said, he's come up a couple times, right? He's come to say hi. And then I was able to like push him away. Well, after this vacation, I get a little jet lag, right? As you always do when you travel time zones like that, you know, 4-hour time zone difference. And then, man, there I am. I'm sitting there with this fucking demon, not sleeping 5 days in a row, up, crying, pacing. Don't know why. What the fuck is this? What's going on? You know, maybe I'd catch an hour here or there. I got 2 kids now at this point, but like, there's nothing wrong with my life, man. The house that we're doing this interview in, I'm sitting in it still. I have a great life. I have a great house, a great wife, a great neighborhood, great family. Businesses are successful. Don't have to worry about money. There's nothing actually wrong with my life, but my life is falling the fuck apart because the devil is here and he is not going away. You know, he is not going away.
So is it the fact that like you didn't know which mountain that you were climbing anymore? Like from that standpoint, like, did you like kind of get to a position that you didn't anticipate with success in a way maybe you didn't anticipate, and then that was weighing down on you? Or did you just have time to think
No, man, I used to just scream about how great I was.
Mm,
Right. I used to like try to portray this feeling of I'm great, you know,
okay.
rather than this feeling, rather than this idea that life is great.
Okay. Well, it's
Um,
pretty profound in and of itself. And from the standpoint of you, the egocentric, or just like the
yeah.
inward looking, like this is all
Hmm.
about me. And then
Me.
now it's like maybe this
But
concentric circle expanded a little bit and you didn't really know how to deal with the things around you then.
I wasn't great. I'm not great.
Huh.
I wasn't the champion. I'm greatly insecure and scared. I have imposter syndrome. I still have all this to this day, right? I can have imposter syndrome. I can experience intense moments of anxiety. I can lose my temper. I can be a dick, but we all can. This is all of us, right? This is all of us. We all have these drawbacks to who we are,
Mm.
right? Um, but I was denying the drawbacks. I was denying some truth out there.
Oh,
Like,
just
don't let anybody see this,
like you were saying
you
earlier,
know?
there's two truths, right? And
Yeah,
they exist
yeah.
simultaneously. I see where your perspective's coming from now. All right.
Yeah, so there's these other things that are true as well, and I was denying. I was like, no, don't let anybody see that, because if they now this is where the connection comes. Because if they see that, they won't be my friend. If they don't my friends, they won't take care of me. If they don't take care of me, I won't be safe. And if I'm not safe, the Nazis are going to come again, and then what the fuck am I going to do?
Damn, bro.
So
That's
there's
a,
the tie back, right?
that's a lot.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'm running from the Nazis the whole time, right? I'm running from the Nazis and the racist people hanging black people from trees, right?
Okay.
Because I'm not safe.
So then,
And I won't be safe because I have all these things that I'm bad at, right? This word bad that we have in our lives, you know, I'm not safe. So I can't let people see the bad of me, because if they see the bad of me, they'll make me not safe.
so how long did this period of time between like dealing with these feelings in a raw state to, the mental maturation that had to take place in order for you to at least corral them and put a
Right.
name to them and manage it?
So I still say you're always doing it, right? I'm always doing this, you know, because I still have these feelings come up. Like to this day, when I have a party, because when I was a kid and I would have a party and nobody liked me at this point, nobody would show up. And then my parent, or like two people would show up, and then my parents would have to figure something out, like, you know, like to make it kind of fun for me. So to this day, still, when I have a party and like, hey, the party's going to be 3:00 and it's, it's 3:05 and no one's here yet, because only assholes show up on time for parties. Right. You always give the host a little more time.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm getting nervous that no one's going to come to my party. Right.
Mm.
And so I still have these feelings still come up. Now, again, they're just feelings. They're just feelings. So I just have to say hello to the feeling. It doesn't have to run my life anymore. How long did it take? It took a year.
Okay.
You know, it took a year of therapy. It took a year. I'll be super honest. I take an anti-anxiety, a permanent, long-term anti-anxiety med, and it just gives me the space. And people think that for me it works really well. It gives me the space. It makes it a little quieter so that I can actually go work on myself, right? And the way I did it is I just let people see where I was terrible. Here, this is me. This is Elliot. This is all of me. This is where I'm great. This is where I'm bad. This is where I do things really skillful. This is where I'm unskillful. And man, I would love to be just looking to have more skill every day. So if there's anybody out there that can help me with that and come along the journey with me, that would be amazing. And I would love to take you on the journey as well.
So then you trusted others to start holding space for you.
Yeah, I had to. And it started with a week into this breakdown. I like to call it mental breakdowns, that spiritual awakening, where, man, I couldn't handle it at night. I would freak out because I wasn't sleeping. And then if I'm not the thought that went through my head is, if I don't sleep, I'm going to go crazy. My wife will put up with it for a little bit because she loves me, but then eventually she'll get sick of this nonsense. She'll get a divorce. She'll take the kids from me. I won't be able to see my kids because she'll tell a judge that I'm crazy. And then man, I might as well just fucking kill myself if I can't see my kids. Right. So so I couldn't get out of that loop.
Wow.
As soon as and I would start freaking out about the night at like noon because the night's coming. You can't stop time. So then it's panic attack after panic attack.
So you're operating, just for a moment, you're operating like knowing that sun is going to set and you're going to have to at some point in time get into a bed, and like you're anxious for the feelings that you know you're going to feel at that point in time and the restlessness that you have been dealing with for days on end, and like you can't even operate normally in your life, and you're essentially trying to reap what you sow, right? We create.
I made it come true.
Yeah.
I made it come true. And dude, have you ever taken a sleeping pill?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was taking 2 of those bitches plus a milligram of Xanax, and I could stay awake through that shit.
Wow.
That's how bad the anxiety was.
You got to be thinking hard.
Yeah.
That's a workout in and of itself. You probably felt like you
were
rolling around on the mats for 6 to 8 hours at night. I mean, it's
not like just staying awake, because you're fighting a beast. You're fighting a fucking lion the whole time you're awake. So anyway, I would take these sleeping pills. Within 5 minutes, I would want them to work. They would no pill works in 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And then I'd start freaking out. My wife would stay upstairs. I'd run down to the basement and I would call these 3 friends. And sometimes they would stay awake with me all fucking night, man. All night. And they would just listen. And sometimes they would talk to me. And most of the time they would talk to me. And throughout that hour, I would fall asleep, like just the numbingness of their voice. And then they would hang up and they would go to sleep. But man, there was nights they were up all fucking night. They were up all night with me.
Okay. So then
that was the beginning. That was the beginning of like, and they worked for me. Like they were my GMs of my schools.
Okay. So you decided to do something about the feelings that you had. You started to put a name to it. You started to trust other people and kind of empathize and just kind of open kimono, just let people know what you're going through. Clearly, and then also you spoke with a clinician, got prescribed some medication,
Therapy.
Which definitely was something there. So then you flip this whole thing on its head, right? Because then you decided to start working with others and sharing your experiences with others. And what's that journey been like?
Amazing. It's the second greatest privilege of my life. The first is children and family. You know, I flipped my whole perspective, because I also like to say that the students saved my life. Like the students, and they don't even know. It's not one student. It's the collective whole of the students in Denver specifically. Because what I would do, one day after not sleeping, I woke up, I didn't wake up, I got up off the couch to wherever I was downstairs. And my wife said to me, it was early on in the process, she just said, like, why don't you just go about your day like you had slept? Just pretend for one day that you slept. Can you do it? You think you can do, like, you know? And I was like, okay. And that was a Tuesday, and I had to go teach that night. And all these students showed up for me, and they knew I was struggling, because I told the school, you know, I shared the, hey, you know, because I know you all look at me like this fucking giant, and I'm just not. So really, I wanted them 2 things. I wanted them to stop looking at me like some giant, and 2, I wanted to let the other people know that, you know, people struggle. People who you think are giants struggle. So it was a little bit for me and a little bit for them. Oh. But then people just started showing up, man. People just started coming more and more. And I was like, man, these motherfuckers, I got to get there for them. I got to be there I got to be there at 6 and at 7 for these students, because they're counting on me, right? They're counting on me to be there. And I had a perspective flip of, yeah, sure, I'm Elliot, the UFC fighter, and yada, 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 right? And the Pan Am champion, all that shit that you said in the beginning, right? Yeah, and that's really cool. But it's my privilege. It's not their privilege that Elliot comes and teaches them. It's my privilege that anybody would spend 1 hour of their fucking time with me. Right? It's my privilege that anybody will listen to this podcast, and that you will actually, and what'd you say, you had 30 episodes, right?
Yeah, something like almost 40.
Yeah, almost 40. it's my privilege to come on the podcast. Just like it will be my privilege if I ever get on like a huge one, Joe Rogan, whatever you want to say, right? But they're the same because it's just two dudes spending an hour together. And that's all, right? And you get to let me tell this story. And maybe it helps one person. And then that becomes the goal. One person.
Yeah.
Can one person be like, yo, fuck that. All right, that one, that got me. Right? That one got me. So now, I don't know when that one person will be. So my nights to teach Thursday and Thursday, and I teach all day, right? I better go show up and give my very, very best at every class. Because that person's giving me the only asset they can't get more of, and that's time.
Yeah.
Right? That's time. And I said earlier that like you can't do things for money. And this is where I had the money shift as well. I don't teach jiu-jitsu for money. I teach jiu-jitsu for free. And then everyone's next question is, but everyone pays tuition at the school. And I'm like, yeah, everyone pays tuition at the school because the school is going to take you on a life journey, but I won't do it. The community will do it. Right? Yeah. The team, the community that we are, the whole thing is going to take you on a life journey. And yes, that has a cost. That's the tuition. But jiu-jitsu is free, man. I haven't gotten paid to teach jiu-jitsu. I can't remember the last time. Seminars, raise money, give it away. Jiu-jitsu competitions like the Fight to Win stuff, give it all away. You know, I refuse to attach my dollar to my hour because then you're doing things for money.
Oh, that's an interesting perspective, man. That's actually pretty contrary to a lot of the things I say. Is you need to assign yourself a dollar rate, and anything below that, you're not going to do those things or whatever. This is a different perspective. And is it just from the fighting standpoint, or is it just anything in general in life? Like,
look, I get paid.
Yeah.
Right. I get paid all the time. The schools make money. We have this online program. It makes money. I'm trying to get my personal brand together to make money, but I'm never going to attach the dollar to the hour.
Okay.
You know, because when I attach the dollar to the hour, well, then if I just work more, right? If I just work more, I'll make more money. And then it starts to be this, what will you not, then you have to make this money decision. What will you not do for money?
And you want to be available.
I want to do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
Right. Now, look, that doesn't mean I don't have to do things. I don't like doing taxes. That sucks. But this is a part of now discipline, right? You know, so you have to find ways to balance this. But yeah, I don't attach the dollar to the hour. Never.
Okay. And then, I'm, and we talked just about it earlier, just for a second, but I'd love for you to unpack this a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Where Gospel of Fire, what does that really?
Yeah. Man, it means to walk into the fucking fire, bro. There's this moment, you know, and this is where I get a little more intense with it, you know, because I have like this softness of this story. But the way out is in, man. It's in that fucking blue fire at the base of it, right? Not the flame at the top. You got to walk in there and you got to sit in it.
Like the hot shit.
You know, and the hot shit. And I like to liken it to a fight, you know, because that was my arena. Because you have to, you know. And there's this guy, Burt Watson, you know, back in the day. And he would be like, "We rollin'," screaming at every fighter. And he'd be like, "It's time to roll to the hole, baby." And you got to make the walk. You got to make the fucking walk to the cage. And it's the last time that you could be a coward. It's the last time that you could let fear get in the way. And I don't care what happens in the cage, doesn't even matter. It's the choice. It's the choice that you as a human being and that you are going to make to go deal with the unknown where you're not safe, the unknown where someone's trying to kill you, where you know you'll be judged afterwards and all of these things. But that's all outside. Can you get yourself to make that motherfucking walk? And that's what we need to do. And in my opinion, that's what men especially are not fucking doing right now. We are failing. We are failing in a massive, massive way of making the walk into the arenas of difficulty. Into the arenas of the difficulty, first of all, with ourselves. And then secondly, how to deal with other people. We're trying to scream how right and wrong people are, you know? And this is just not the way, You know, this is just not the way. And look, obviously, because of the lens that I see the world through, somebody like Martin Luther King is a great figure of mine. Like,
I see him right behind you there. Yeah,
there he is, right? You know, and the other quote is the Teddy Roosevelt quote. It's not the critic who counts. So those, you know, like it's it's the man who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall not be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. You know, so that's one. And the Martin Luther King, man, he wasn't screaming about how terrible people were. He was just saying what we're going to do. I had a dream.
Yeah.
Right? I have a dream. And now look, what he fought for was equal rights for African Americans especially, right? But he wasn't going around screaming, don't tread on me, right? He was saying, no, these are my human rights as a human, you know? Yeah. So we need a little more of that.
Oh,
we need a little more. We need a little more, you know, to look at our current leaders. Get the fuck off the goddamn golf courses. Stop taking trips to Mexico, right? Stop baiting women into using your power to bait women. Stop shutting down restaurants and then going to restaurants. Go fuck yourselves. And these are all men doing this bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? From both sides of the political aisle. I'm not like, I tried to use examples of everyone there, right? Man.
It's a moral, it's a moral obligation that comes from, to your point earlier, stepping in the fire and understand what you stand for, and understanding what you're about, and understanding how you want to espouse that, and being consistent and having that discipline, and being honest about your shortcomings and owning it when you fuck up, which nobody does in the public sphere anymore. Nobody can ever do wrong, regardless of the side of the political aisle, regardless of the decisions they make. There's always an excuse. There's always a thing. There's not people raising their hand, taking that extreme ownership and accountability and saying, yep, I made a mistake. I'm a human being. This is what I'm going to do to fix it. I hope you can forgive me. Trust me in the future. It just doesn't happen.
Look, it doesn't happen because, look, and I'll be super honest, I lean more left. You know, sure. So I'm going to criticize my side now, the left, a little bit. And I don't even know I don't even know where I fucking lean anymore, but I'm for sure.
I think we're all confused, bro.
Yeah, we're all very confused on this, right? But you can't fuck up if you lean left, because if you lean left and fuck up, God forbid, they crucify you, right? The left crucifies. We eat our own. I'll say we eat our own on the left. You have to be fucking perfect. And nobody can be perfect, right? Yeah. Nobody can be perfect. I don't think there's a single person, or there's a couple, right? There are some people that truly love Donald Trump, and sure, I get that. But I don't think the 70 million people, or however many people voted for him, I don't think they really love him. They just can't handle when they look at their choice, you know, and look, there's some racists, of course, and there's some bigots and all, but they were around when Obama got elected. Right? Like, and Obama got elected. It's not like that changed anywhere, you know? But from the way I see it is, you have one side screaming about how right you have to be. You have to be so perfect. And if you're not fucking perfect, watch what we do to you. And then you have this absolute total piece of shit of a human being come along and say, look, I ain't perfect. And look, I can be a president of the United States. Come be like me, you know? And when you have to make the choice between I have to be perfect or I got it or that, then I might go do that.
Yeah.
And I'm not excusing the behavior or anything like that. But, and like I just said, so before people on the left crucify me for defending Donald Trump, he's a total piece of shit. I will never vote for the man, you know? But I can see it from somebody else's lens, from somebody else's perspective. And it's because you have the choices between dog shit and perfection. And you know you can't be perfect. And you know you can't be perfect. We can't ask for perfect.
Well, and it's
a big mistake.
And I think it's perfection through the lens of, you know, a very specific ideology as well. Because what's perfect to one person is not necessarily perfect to another person. And because there's no true definitions, and because there's no, like, the end game's not a utopia. Like, you just can't get there. People are assholes inherently. You're going to run into assholes. People are racist.
I disagree with you there. I don't think people are inherently assholes.
Oh, I don't think they're
inherently,
inherently, but
yeah.
they're always going to be an asshole. There's always going to be one.
Yeah, you're going to run into them.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
You
But
can't
look,
un-asshole
right, but the way I see that is maybe I'm just running into that person on their worst fucking day.
Mm. Yeah.
And I try to give everyone the benefit of that doubt. You know, is maybe in this moment, his dog died, his mom got cancer, he just got fired. Now, look, if I get to know you and this is consistent, then obviously that's not the case. And I'll, you know, but in the world, when you just quickly interact with people, maybe I'm just running into that person on their worst day. Or we like to blame a lot, right? And we, you know, and we like to take credit as well for all the great things we've done. What if my anxiety was 10% worse? Which I had no control over, like, right? But what if it was 10% worse? What would have happened to me then? Because I was on the fucking edge, man. You know, I was on the edge. What if it was 15% worse? And that's not a lot worse, right? We don't know. You know, you don't know the circumstances that just randomly happen in your life, like, because that's just chemical makeup, right? That's chemical. Like, my anxiety came from chemical makeup and the nurture of my life. And I had great parents. I had great grandparents. I needed for nothing, you know, but just their experience, the Holocaust, which they had nothing to do with. My dad and civil rights, he had nothing to do with it. It's just the time that he was born to and the people that he was born to, the fucking egg lottery. So, you know, like, what if it was 10% worse for all of us? How would we be then? And what did you have to do with how bad it got? Fuck, man. You know, so what if I'm running into somebody in that instant? Maybe I can give them the benefit of the doubt. So
that's a powerful concept too, man. That in something, assuming positive intent, assuming that people are generally good, and that, you know, sometimes you catch them on an 8, sometimes you catch them on a 2. That people deal with mental health issues. They're up and down. They're bipolar. They don't know how to manage the feelings that they have on any given day, or maybe they're having anxiety. And just to treat them like a human and to empathize.
Have you ever had a bad day?
Yeah, 100%.
Have you ever been the asshole?
100%. Yeah.
Do you want to be judged on that worst day?
No, not at all, man. Not at all. And it's funny. This is one of my, like, I was young. I was like 19, and there was like a Fuddruckers. You remember Fuddruckers?
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Those burgers were great, man. That cheese sauce you could get. Fuck yeah, let's go.
Build your own burger. We had one open up in Boise. And I like, there was a Suburban pulling in one way, and I'm driving a little old like Mazda pickup, and I pull into a parking spot, and I didn't realize that car thought that parking spot was theirs.
It's theirs.
Yeah. I had no idea. Nobody was backing out of it. I just kind of beat them to it. And I didn't see them intending to get into that spot. So honest, I probably would have given them the spot if I would have saw their blinker or saw their intent. My windows rolled down because it's a warm day. Within seconds, there's this guy, and he is standing over my window, and he's a big dude. And he's like, "You better move or I'm going to make you move." And like, he's screaming at me, like, to beat me up in this parking lot over a parking spot at Fuddruckers. And I'm looking at him like, dude, what is going on here? And while he's screaming at me, his wife is parking. She parks. Their whole family gets out, and they start walking in. And she's like, "Hey, it's not worth it." So he finally walks in. Now, if you remember Fuddruckers, there's like a line that everybody stands in to order to go down. So then we're behind him in line.
Right there.
Because we're the next people in. And it's just like this awkward exchange. But then you could also see, like, he's trying to ignore me, but like, he's also being like really good with his family. So you're like, well, maybe he's just like worked up, and that was like the last time. And like, I watched their family eat. They were like laughing and have a good time. It wasn't like an O'Doyle rules situation. It just kind of like seemed like he just snapped because he was pissed about something else. And I forgave him in that. I didn't have to, but I like forgave him. I was like, yeah, he's just worked up. But I had never seen anything like that. Personally, I was just so confused. And I guess I chalk it up to his bad day.
because both can exist at the same time. Hold on, I'm gonna look something up real fast. I can't remember. Emerson quote.
Yeah, for sure. It's a strange thing to be a person. I think that that's what we're
Yeah,
boiling it down to, right? And that you've got your ups and
this
your
is what,
downs. Oh, go ahead.
and this is the problem that I really feel. Where did it go? Come on. I really love quotes. But
Oh,
I
of
like
course.
to. Where is it? I just the mass men of the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the
You
best
know,
one of the best quotes out there for sure. Like,
because and we get wrapped up in, from my perspective, money. We get, you do things because you bought a house, right? And now you got, and you want a car, and you want this, and you wanted that, and I don't believe in the concept of toxic masculinity, right? And you hear this word a lot, toxic masculinity. I believe that the behavior that they are talking about is toxic, but I don't believe it's masculine. Okay. I don't, right? It's not masculine. It's not masculine behavior. I think it's getting linked to men. And I think it's getting linked to men a lot because we lead lives of quiet desperation.
yeah,
And we do that because we got all wrapped up in this. We have to pay our bills. Right.
yeah,
We have to make money because I want this house. Right. And I want a pretty wife, and I want a nice car, and I want power, and all of this stuff. And all these outside sources, and you have no fucking clue who you are.
yeah.
Who are you?
And and
Who are you?
there's a willingness to suffer in silence with that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you're living in quiet desperation, you're suffering in silence. The pressure is building, and um,
And then you
the
take it
lucky
out on somebody over a parking spot
at Fuddruckers, man, of all
at Fuddruckers,
places.
when you're with your family. But you're this guy, and you're a good dude, and you're taking care of, and you love your family, and you watched it, right? But it's because he's leading a life of quiet desperation.
Yeah,
It's just eating at him, right? If this I'm not a man thing, this unmasculine shit. So we got to, first of all, for you, I think this is such an important question. And this is, what I really try to talk to people about. Who are you? What is it that defines you? And when you start to talk about these things, it better not be one thing, because look, if COVID showed us one thing, things can crumble. Things can crumble in a heartbeat. So you better not have one thing. For me, I'm a father. Right? Number one, I'm a father. Until the day this universe ends, I will dad. When I'm dead, that my kids are alive, ask them who their dad is. Me. I don't have to be alive for it. When their kid, when they're dead and their kids are alive, ask their kids who their dad was. It's going to be me. Right?
yeah,
It's going to be me. So I'll always be a father. I'm a teacher. I'll always be a teacher. Those will be my students. Again, same concept. I'm a student. First of all, to my parents, I am a student. And I'll always be a mall student. Your business partners, and there's all these difficulties with business partners and money and blah, blah, blah. But first and foremost, I'm his student. I'm a leader. I'm a fighter in so many senses, that literal sense, and then this other sense. And man, I'm a survivor. Those things combined make it so that I am enough.
I love it.
So to everyone listening right now, I challenge all of you, and I know we're coming to the end here. Sit down, take a couple months, write some shit down, and ask yourself who you are. Who are you? What is it that defines you? That no matter how shaky the ground gets, the roots go deeper. Right? The roots go deeper than whatever's shaking at the top. The roots go so deep that it can never be touched. Because when you can find who you are and it can never be touched, you can't be uprooted. One of those things will always be true. So when shit gets tough and shit gets difficult, take a deep breath and just tell yourself who you are.
Love it. Elliot, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Thanks for sharing your story, your perspective, and your valuable advice in overcoming adversity and tips and tricks here at the end as well. Where do people find you? What do they look up? What do you got going on
Yeah.
that people should look forward to as well?
So you can find everything off my Instagram, Fire Marshal 205. Everything that you want to know about me is on my Instagram, Fire Marshal 205. There's a link in the bio there, or my website, elliottmarshall.com. I'm currently giving my book. I wrote a book about my struggle, right? I'm currently giving that away as a downloadable copy of the book for free. So if you go to the Instagram, you click on, free ebook, enter your email, and then, man, the book is yours. So just, I think it's super important that we hear other people's stories in depth. So, yeah, anybody who wants the book, again, Fire Marshal 205 on Instagram, go check it out. Obviously, I have a podcast, The Gospel of Fire. Go check that out. If you like to listen to books, look, you can find everything. Like, I have my book in Audible form. I have it in paperback. You can get, so everything's off my Instagram and my website. And that's it, man.
All right, perfect. Well, I'll put links to all that stuff here in the bio of the podcast as well. So you can go and follow those links. And looking forward to following up with you, man, and continuing to go on this journey with you and watch all the exciting, fun things you're doing. And again, thanks for sharing an hour with me today and unpacking all this.
Like I said, man, it's my privilege, right? It's not anybody else's. It's my privilege. Shoot me. I think you have my email and stuff. Shoot me your phone number, right? If you choose, and that way we can like stay in contact and stuff. So yeah.
All right, for sure, my man.
Yeah.
Cheers.